Hello, I'm Emma Lay and welcome back to my podcast. Today I'll be discussing question 3 of my CCRs, which is how did your production skills develop throughout this project? Throughout this project, I feel as though I have significantly improved and gained skills in more area than one, specifically my skills in research, analysis, photography and equipment use with cameras, as well as this with Photoshop, website building and time management. My research skills throughout the project have majorly increased from the research task at the beginning of the course. Researching 3 different genres of magazine at the start of term was good practice for my in-depth research that I would carry out after the first 3. I used different websites to research different genres as all of the information I could not be found in just one website, such as Wikipedia or the company website. When researching magazines such as Enemy, I found student research projects helpful for statistics and information about the magazine demographics, as well as good confirmation to any facts I had found elsewhere. As many reports and projects had been done about these magazines, they were not actual websites and more PDFs and PowerPoints. I had learnt to use the advanced search function on Google to specify what I was looking for to help speed up the researching process, which became very useful when doing my in-depth research on Vogue, when I was looking for vast amounts of information that was specific, which was definitely not found in one place. However, I did find that Vogue had a media pack located on their website which contained lots of useful and reliable information such as advertisement costs and submission deadlines that I couldn't find anywhere else. I learnt a lot about magazine analysis through this project as well. For my first 3 magazines that I researched and my in-depth, I learnt to analyse the magazine's contents, cover and articles to gather an understanding of the target audience, whether that be age, gender or nationality. I also learnt about analysing a magazine cover and contents to get an understanding of the designs and layouts used by Vogue, such as how their colour palettes work and how the models stand and where they look, how their masthead is placed and how the cell lines are usually placed, all of this being part of Vogue's house style. Then how different topics are categorised on a contents page and how both text and images are laid out on an article page. In terms of photography, I gained a whole new skill set. Having never taken media before, I'd never used any of the equipment that was used in this project. I learnt to use a camera through trial and error. I would use a camera in lessons to take pictures with different lighting settings to figure out what would work best when I take the pictures for my cover contents and article page. I also used light boxes with coloured translucent card when taking pictures to alter the colour of the lighting on the picture. Some of my classmates who had previously taken media for GCSE also helped me with getting a start on using the cameras and which settings would work best. Another skill that I gained from scratch was the use of Photoshop. Photoshop was a software that I was not familiar with, however I picked it up rather quickly. I learnt a lot of it practically, playing around with the settings and options available on the app, but I also used videos from Creative Live to help me improve my skills. Although I had used websites such as Wix before to briefly create websites in subjects like RE where I'd organised all my work, I had never used the Weebly platform before. Throughout this project, I learnt to use Weebly to build an informative and organised website to display all of my work and research on the project, including videos, images and slideshows. An example of putting my skills into use was through the creation of my front cover. Throughout this project, when I was doing my first draft, I did face some difficulty when it came to the layout. I had 2 different models for my first covers, which was Natalia and Rihanna. My pictures with Natalia faced the issue that it was too zoomed out and focused on the background and not the model. The sizing of the whole cover was incorrect and I also needed to change the title so it was in line with the other colours and it was a lot less mismatched. My covers with Rihanna in comparison struggled with the same issue that they were too zoomed out and not focused enough on the model and that the fonts and the cell lines did not look right, and again they were also the wrong size for a front cover of a magazine. I also needed to alter the colour scheme so it was less mismatched and accurate to the colours in the picture, and on all of my drafts I hadn't even added a date and issue. In my second drafts I still struggled with the picture being too zoomed out, although I had seemed to sort out a colour scheme. In all of my drafts I'd added a barcode, as I'd seen this on many store-bought magazines such as Cosmopolitan and Entertainment Weekly. However, in reality, for such a high-end magazine such as Vogue that I was using as inspiration for my own magazine, they would not use barcodes on the front covers of theirs, so I thought it was best to leave that idea aside. Finally, after more draft attempts and a survey sent out to my peers, I managed to get enough feedback on what needed changing and which ones would be the best draft to use. With this, I managed to fix the issues such as the cell line fonts and sizes and come up with a final cover that I'm finally happy with. Finally, in this project, I also learnt how to effectively manage my time with so many components that needed completing. I spread out enough time for my research, photography, assembly of my cover, contents and article page, as well as the creation of my blog. In total, it took me 6 months to complete the coursework for this AS level, and in most cases each component was evenly split in the time I put towards it. The research took the longest as I wanted to display everything I had found and could apply to my magazine, as I felt having an understanding of how a magazine is created and all the components that go into it would be a great benefit when it came to making my own. The practical aspects of creating the pages took roughly a month each to finalise and complete, as I was picking up new skills along the way when completing each page. Writing the CCR scripts also took me a month to complete, and I spent many weeks finalising my blog to make sure it was displayed properly with all the correct information and no spelling errors. Thank you so much for listening to my podcast on my question 3 CCR. If you'd like to listen to the next CCR, which would be question 4, being how did you integrate technology, softwares and hardwares and online in this project, you can click on the next tab on my website. Thank you.